Is there some kind of a special specific training program that everybody who runs a drive-through in Canada has to partake in, where the focal point is to talk to you like you're a piece of shit at the end of the order, no matter how much you order? Like, hi, can I get a large black coffee? And that's it. What the fuck do you mean that's it? You cheap piece of shit. Order more stuff. What do you mean you only want to order 3 of everything on the menu? God damn it, you frugal motherfucker. Step up and spend more money. You're wasting my time. This is how they talk to you. This is how they make you feel, the scorn they put in your voice. And it's made even worse by the fact that it's being done by a guy who, him and his 3 roommates, share a fucking bathtub.
I've been wondering how many times they go, are you a member? No. Like, you already know they're going to ask the question. Are you playing it? No. I just want a coffee. And then like, would you like a donut with that? Like a strudel with that? It's like, no. I wonder how many times people say yes. Because obviously there's been like an uptick in sales by doing it, right? Or am I wrong?
Well, probably on an infinite timeline, yes. Oh, yeah, actually, you know what? Now that you're making me feel like a cheap dick, sure, I'll buy some Timbits. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to have offended you.
Strengthen my resolve. I don't really like Tim Hortons coffee to begin with. And McDonald's, although has pretty good coffee, and irritate the crap out of me every time I go in there because they're like, are you a member? No. And they almost laugh at you because they know they got a script to read from, Anyways, Mashup 123, Twos, how are you doing today?
Twos is good. It's been a busy couple days. Kind of had my schedule thrown out of whack.
Yeah, I went and saw this buddy of mine. He was, that's how the week went. That's
how
kind of
did
how
that go for you?
I stopped in this little place, saw this guy named Twos, and it was decent,
Had a good catch up. That's all right. Yeah. Lisa Ferguson. I hate when Tim's asks if I want a hash brown with my farmer's wrap. There already is one in the wrap. I like to get an extra. Like, I'll get the one, if I get a farmer's wrap, I'll get the one that's obviously in it. And then I'll get a meal and ask for an extra hash brown. And I don't do that anymore because it's just too much for them to comprehend. It's funny because on the one hand, they're like, you have to order more stuff or you're a jerk. And on the other hand, where you're like, I would like a total of 3 hash browns in this meal. I'm feeling the hash browns this morning, and they can't help but screw it up.
You would. Hello, Patricia. She says, hi, guys. Can't believe I actually get to finally see you alive. Love the show, and you two are awesome. Thanks, Patricia.
Thank you very much.
When Kristen McGowan said she would, we're going to do this. I'm going to advertise on
the coming in. Carla says waiting for Fridays these days. So are we. You were saying though, Sean.
I'm like, I wonder if she knows what she signed up for because she listens to the show. And I'm like, well, she's in for a doozy because Twos starts off making jokes about drive-thrus and then cuts me off 3 different times while I'm trying to get into the ad read. So, but it's funny, folks. Before we started the show, I'm going, Twos, okay. This is what I'm thinking. He goes, that's a terrible idea. Don't do it like that. Dad's got this. And I'm like, Dad's got this? All right. Kristen McGowan, professional chartered accountant. Twos, please enlighten us.
McGowan Professional Corporation, they are not accepting new clients right now. But if you ask nice, you might get on a wait list. This is how busy they are. And she's looking for a CPA or somebody who is on their way to being a CPA to come in and take some of the load off of her plate, off of her desk, as it were. And cool thing about accountants, as much as they're absolutely dreadful in parties and that they don't really get a lot of jokes a lot of the time, it seems like, they truly do God's work. Their job is to keep as much of your money in your pocket and give as little of it to the fucking government as you can without going to jail. It's a beautiful profession. What do you think about it? And their busy tax time is April. It's right in between ice fishing and regular fishing. It's on the opposite side of the calendar from hunting season. It's a perfect fit. I wonder if that was on purpose.
Probably.
Probably. I imagine back when saner heads prevailed in Ottawa, they're like, well, let's just do it right here. Let's make this the busy season for accountants. And so, you'd be potentially going into, assuming you get the job, going into a place where they're smart, they're capable, you get treated like an adult. And so if you want some flexibility to work from home a little bit more, well, there's enough accountability within the entire profession, regardless, that you're not going to be a laggard like the public sector, like we're going to
I
talk
was just
about
gonna
later.
say, if the
If you
public
want to be able
sector's
to do it,
listeners, they heard work from
yeah.
home, and then she'll get like
Well, that's the
500,000
thing.
resumes.
If you work from the public sector, first of all, you probably hate this show, and secondly, it's probably not going to be a good fit for you there. I'm guessing. You should ask her though. Don't take my word for it. But they're looking for a CPA or somebody on their way to being a CPA who can do a good job of working with people, primarily in agriculture and oil and gas. And if you
And
think that's you,
if I may twos, one of the things she already knows this, but one of the things I was talking to her about is the Mashup audience is different than anything that I do. And
Mhm.
so you wonderful people got to help her out. We got to find, you can't have
spread the word. Actually, you know what? Yeah.
well, you got
Like
a thriving business that can't take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As much as we
Who's gonna
like
cut me off?
asking for people,
Daddy's got
dude,
this, he says.
Dad's got this.
Dad's
Okay,
got
you know
this.
what? Just put it in the pacifier, go in the back seat. We're gonna put on Paw Patrol for Sean for a minute. And here's the thing: is we like to ask, hey, you know what? Every once in a while, if you're enjoying this show, like, subscribe, retweet. If you know somebody who's into accounting or is a CPA or something like that, mention this to them. Because this isn't the big wig crappy firm that they're used to working for in downtown Ottawa or downtown Saskatoon. This is a little bit different, and I would say probably a whole lot better. If I wasn't so damn old, it would make me think about becoming a CPA just so I could get this. But it might be for you. Sean, welcome back. Glad to have you.
The one thing about like doing a live show that I cannot script is the guy on the other side. And I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Mashup 123 brought to you by Kristen McGowan, CPA. You can go to McGowanCPA.ca. Like maybe there should just be a new slogan. I have a shirt with Donald Trump that I got from
The United States.
United States, and it says "Daddy's home." I'm meant to wear it, but anyways, it's
That
Trump
would have
wearing
been even
sunglasses.
better.
Yeah, Daddy's home.
This.
Now, literally, Twos is trying to tell me Dad's got this on the ad rates. There you go. So McGowan CPA, we're looking for CPAs, folks. Try and help a lady out who is one of you who wants her business to continue to grow and thrive and help other people get off the wait list and get their taxes and all that good stuff done.
The sooner she gets enough people working for her with the qualified roles, the more money she can keep from going to fucking Trudeau. What more do you want, guys? And Michelle Krieger says Cardiff, Saskatchewan, Spring Fling, September 7th. Cardiff, got a lot of time for that place. One of my best buddy actually is from Cardiff. I think he might be listening right now. I'm not sure. If he is, just run your mouth in the comments. You're always going to do it anyway. But that's a great reminder. If you have any events coming up, throw them in the comments. We'll go through them at the end.
Yes. Okay. We got a couple things here. One, let's start with the collection. A couple different things here. Bada bing, bada boom.
So
a
if you want a
t-shirt.
mashup shirt, if you want a mashup mug, a few things like that, there is a website where you can go and you can buy whatever cool stuff you want, I guess, within what's available on the website with
and
the
I'll
mashup.
I'll put that in the comments.
So people, you're a fan.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Happy Airborne Friday to Jamie Sinclair and the boys. And I'm going to talk. I'm going to talk to Jamie just for 1 second here because he asks me this every week. How do I watch you live? How do I watch you live? How do I watch you live?
So he's got to ask. You're not actually talking to him right now, but continue.
Yeah, I agree. But he's going to listen to this, and I'm going to say it again in the show to anyone who can't find us live. We're live 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time on X, formerly known as Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
on Facebook, on YouTube, on Rumble. Am I missing anything, Twos?
A lot, but we'll get to it all later.
Sure. And if you're watching right now, make sure to if you're on one of those platforms to share us out. It helps get through the I don't know, the growing censorship and everything else that goes on day by day. There you
Tell
go.
two
Like,
friends
share,
and tell
retweet,
an
tell an
enemy.
Yeah, tell an enemy about us. That'd be great. Coots 2, 936 days today. I'm doing a live on Monday, 2:30 in the afternoon with Levine and Marco Van Hugenbos again, and an unnamed third, because there should be big news in theory coming out Monday. I guess we'll wait and see if they push it down the road a bit more. But regardless, Coots boys 936. Anything else before we get this thing rolling, Twos?
That's about it. Let's get cracking.
All right. Here we go. Public sector faces its greatest challenge yet. Federal civil servants will head back into the office 3 days a week starting September 9th, but union leaders are pushing back, calling it one of the most anti-worker policies that we've ever seen. Civil servants, quoted, civil servants say they're more productive at home. I bet they do.
Why would they not say that? I would say that. I can't do my job from home, my day job anyway. But yeah, of course you're going to say that. Why wouldn't you say that? An anti-worker? The whole point of working is that you're doing something for somebody. And if you're just at home on the couch, you're not actually working. It's the exact opposite of anti-worker. It's pro-worker. These people are so dumb, Sean, and they're just ready to riot over the fact that they have to go into their job 3 days a week and how
3 days a week.
evil and inconvenient it is. They're so out of touch.
How do we take Elon Musk up on his offer to President Trump to, go on a panel or on whatever they're calling it, a commission to like thin out the public sector? Could we just pull him up here for a little bit? I feel like that
we probably wouldn't be able to get Elon Musk to do it because every country in the world presumably is going to want him to do that after the fact, with the exception of the government workers, of course. But the idea, the two bobs from Office Space, our country needs it, and if Elon Musk is successful in it, maybe we get like a wish.com version of Elon Musk in Canada where Twos flies out to Ottawa and just cuts heads all around the board, right? Because it's crazy. And here's the thing is, so this is an interesting thing from Brian Lilly. Percentage of employees working mostly from home in select cities. It's the largest 15 cities in Canada. The second highest one is Oshawa at 25.6%. And number one is Ottawa/Gatineau at 34.2%. Over a third of Ottawa/Gatineau works from fucking home. What a bunch of freeloading pieces of shit.
Kelly Lloyd, fire all the bureaucrats.
Love it.
Probably
put up the next.
You might want to put up the next headline, eh? I don't know. Dad's got this, folks. Don't worry about it.
Here we go.
Before I read the next headline, I just want to make sure that people know that Monday, 10 a.m. To noon is supposed to be sentencing for the Coots boys. So that's what's big about this Monday coming up. Putin endorses his allies. Twos has added in a headline on me. I assume this is the interview where he endorses Harris. And I assume you're going to show it.
Yeah. I mean, you didn't have to spoil it for everybody. But here's a quick little clip of Vladimir Putin. He's not the
beautiful
lady here. But here is her talking to Vladimir Putin about what he thinks about the upcoming election.
That if we can name a favorite candidate, it used to be Joe Biden, but now he's not participating in the election campaign, and he recommended all his allies to support Ms. Harris. So that is what we are going to do.
And that's basically it. Vladimir Putin, who has been the scapegoat for all elections in North America for the past decade, has said in an interview that he's endorsing Kamala Harris. It's beautiful. I love it. It's as much as the guy is a megalomaniacal, dictatorial mass murderer, he's also wicked smart and really funny.
Well, I think it's like if you watch the video, you're like, oh man, this is totally him just like making fun of it, right? And
Yes.
and like using the system against itself. But if all you read was the headline, Putin endorses Harris, everybody's heads are popping. What? He would no way. What? And he's getting ahead of it before they can do any. I mean, they've already been
Exactly.
like it's been really interesting because as soon as I saw the headline on Twitter, I'm like, the heck? And then you watch it and you start laughing. I'm like, this is pretty fun. The host can't contain herself. She's
Yep.
laughing.
Oh, yeah.
Thin Green Line. The Alberta government is pulling its share of the funding for Calgary Green Line LRT, according to a letter sent to Mayor Jody Gondek on Tuesday. In the September 3rd letter, Transportation and Economic Corridors Minister Devin Drishan called the city's revised Green Line LRT plan unacceptable, saying the province would not support it. Went on to say the Green Line has fast become a multi-billion-dollar boondoggle that will serve very few Calgarians. And although we understand that hundreds of millions have already been spent on utility and other work for the current Green Line scope, throwing good money after bad is simply not an option for our government.
Yeah, it's the sunk cost fallacy, Sean. And I think Drishan did a good job of saying, you know what, we got to draw the line somewhere. This thing it started off being much larger than it is at less than a quarter of the current budget. So it's already gone 400% over budget. So classic government. Remember we talked about the pipeline that finally got done, similar thing. And then here's Jody Gondek talking about it. We have been fiscally responsible with Green Line. We have tried to deliver it within budget. Now, they're already 400% over budget, but we've tried to deliver it within budget. We had before us with our other two funding partners. Unfortunately, the delay that will come with this review that's been requested and the uncertainty in the market will elevate costs on this project. No, the fact that you guys fucking suck at project management is what did it. The amount that the provincial government and the federal government has chipped in for this project is more than the entire original budget. And she's complaining that they're not getting even more fucking money. Now, Corey Morgan, who's been following this really closely and doing a great job of it, he's pointing out, look at the map of the latest Green Line plan. This is all of the stops. Eau Claire, 7th Ave, 4th, Ramsey, 7, 8. 8 stops. This is 8 stops for $6.2 billion. The original one was probably 15 stops on the south end, and then it also went north for another 15 or 20 stops as well for $1.5 billion. And so it's a quarter, if not less, of the scope for over 400% of the budget. So you're looking at 1/16 of the value. And people are saying, well, why can't you just keep throwing more money at it? Because it all gets fucking wasted.
A modest expense. The people who run the investment arm of the Canada Pension Plan are moving to a new upscale office in downtown Toronto, and the estimated 10-year cost of the move will likely be between $300 million to $430 million. According to the quarterly office market report by Colliers Canada, between January and March of this year, CPP Investments signed a new lease at CIBC Square, comprised of a pair of luxurious new office towers that insiders say offers some of the most expensive office space available in the country. The money to pay for that move will come out of the returns on the reserve fund for the Canadian Pension Plan, which more than 22 million Canadian workers must contribute to by law. It's not a move because it requires more space, as the new office will actually be 10% smaller than the current office, which CPP Investments owns outright. CPP Investment has been under growing scrutiny from Canadians who contribute to the plan as its operating expenses have climbed. And here I'm going to pull this up so you can see it. have climbed from 1.6 billion in fiscal 2024 from 11 million in 2003. The fund's net assets in that time, though, have also grown from 632 billion in 2024 from 17 billion in 2003. I don't know why they wrote it that way, but regardless, you get the point. Their funds managed have gone way up, and their expenses are like going. Look at the screen. You get the point I'm trying to make here.
Here's the thing: is that part of the reason why their funds have gone way up is because there have been so many contributions from places like Alberta, who vastly over contributes. And anybody who wants to dispute that, look at the cap on CPP investments, and then look at the median income levels in different provinces, and that will tell you who's actually putting in up to and above, or up to the maximum, right? And then here's the thing: is that first off, it doesn't really matter how big the fund is or isn't. It's what return on investment are you getting from what you personally put into it. This is a tangent, and I'm going to stop here, but I'm about to go off the goddamn rails about how fucked up our pension plan is. But they're going to spend upwards of $500 million getting sexy offices while they all want to work from fucking home.
Doesn't have to make sense, dude. Don't try and make sense of this. Criminal justice system. A man caught transporting 27,000 fentanyl pills from Vancouver to Calgary was let go by a bizarre ruling from a judge. Twos I could see is going to pull up the video, so you could see what's going on. The ruling from the charter right against unreasonable search was violated because the drug sniffer dog only partially sat. You got that right, folks.
So he's in the back of the car. They get the drug sniffing dog to go around. And actually, if I rewind here, you can see he's got his, looks like a Dodge Caravan maybe, pulled over to the side, basically right up against one of those cement embankments. And so when the dog comes around later, you see him
right there. You see him.
He doesn't have room to sit down all the way, but the problem is that him sitting down is how he indicates to the officer that he's found drugs. But he doesn't have the room to sit down, and so he just kind of does this half squat. And the judge says, well, he didn't sit down all the way, so you had no right to do the search and seizure on him.
Meanwhile, he admits to being a mule.
So he literally goes into the cop shop, gets arrested, sits down, has a cup of coffee, and says, yeah, well, you know what drug mules are. And then they're like, no, we don't know what drug mules are. Tell us more about it. Which, on the one hand, maybe they're just trying to lead him into saying more. But on the other hand, our cops are idiots, so it's a reasonable question. But he got off scot-free, and that's
Meanwhile, if you have old explosives 200 kilometers north of the Coots protest,
tucked away in a mezzanine for years.
This thing, I don't know. Caught red-handed with 27,000 pills in the. Well, he didn't sit. Oh my God. Aside, fake news. Twos just tells me to read the tweet. All right. Here comes the tweet, folks. It says, residents in West Edmonton's Parkview and Crestwood areas are getting fed up with increased crime and disorder in the mature neighborhoods long known for being quiet and desirable to live in.
I am sick and fucking tired of our legacy media being completely unable to speak accurately to anything going on in this country. There is no such thing as a place in Edmonton that's desirable to live. You guys are literally fake news.
Trans stuff this week. Well, threats against the Canadian Women's Magazine prompted publishers to revise a contentious article over the weekend. Published on August 19th, online August 19th, Elle Canada published a listicle entitled, is that what it actually says? A listicle?
It's an article that's a list.
Oh my God. Okay. Entitled These 8 Incredible Canadians.
Take the listicles out of your mouth and you'll be able to say it better.
Entitled The 8 Incredible Canadians Have Broken the Glass Ceiling by writer Sedef Asan, featuring profiles of 8 changemakers, including LGBT advocate Faye Johnstone, journalist Connie Walker, hockey great Cassie Campbell Pascal, and independent MPP Sarah Jama. Despite the gender-neutral headline of the article's online version, social media posts in the magazine's print edition describe the piece as profile of 8 incredible Canadian women. You can imagine insanity ensued. I mean, maybe sanity. Maybe I should say sanity ensued, because that is insanity.
Yes. So they originally tweeted women, and then they got absolutely lambasted. And I think that where Brian picked up on this story was after the internet had been changed, but people, when it originally came up, were like, what the hell? 2 of these aren't even women, and one of them got kicked out of the NDP for hating Jews too much. Do you have any idea how fucking crazy you have to be to get kicked out of the NDP for hating Jews too much? And so they got a bunch of pushback online. And there's a picture of Faye Johnson. You can see her dick in the picture. Those tight leather pants that women wear, there's a reason why they're not popular among dudes. Like, I can literally tell from this picture of your tight ass fucking pants, Faye Johnston, where you stand on the whole Israel-Palestine thing.
Oh, man.
So, anyway, it gets changed a bunch of times, and they said it's because threats they got. None of them were provided. As far as I'm concerned, they were just lying to cover up the fact that it's poorly thought out, and they got a bunch of blowback.
Well, I mean, it's definitely poorly played out. I wonder if, I don't know.
Yes.
I read that. I'm like, why are you not doing any research on this at all?
So, Michelle, isn't that the person that the Regina Chamber of Commerce brought in to speak at its Women of Distinction Awards?
You are correct.
Yes, that is correct. That is the dude with the nappy ass teeth that they brought in to talk about being a woman of distinction. I think it says a lot about Regina in general that the best woman they could find was that fugly man.
Fake money. A Quebec man has been jailed after he admitted to masterminding one of the largest ever series of shipments of Chinese-made counterfeit toonies in Canadian history. 26,630 to be exact. Jean-Francois Generet was sentenced to 9 months in jail before the Labor Day weekend after he pleaded guilty to 2 criminal charges, including importing and introducing counterfeit money into Canada. I scrolled down. One of the things, this guy has like a long record here. He'd been previously jailed 3 times, including 12 months in 2012 for court records show. And Mike Marshall, an Ontario-based counterfeit coin expert, called the Quebec man's sentence a slap on the wrist. He said counterfeiters can face up to 14 years in jail under the Canadian law. So for the largest one in Canadian history, you're giving them 9 months.
Yes. Kelly Lloyd says you called it 2s. Thank you for that. I'm not sure which part we're talking about specifically, but I'm sure you are correct.
If you have learned anything, anytime you compliment 2s, it gets read. That is,
all the compliments. Yeah. I am shameless. So this guy gets a bunch of fake toonies made in China. And in classic Chinese manufacturing fashion, they're poorly made. It says Canada on it twice, and it has a money sign rather than the amount of the money. So technically, it's not even a toonie. It's a somethingy. Like, you know what? When you want to get something manufactured poorly, whether it's fake money or a virus, you go to China. All right. So this guy gets a bunch of shitty coins made to come over here, and they're mad because he is adding completely valueless currency to our monetary system, which is debasing it and devaluing it and throwing it into upheaval, because it's very important for us to not debase our valueless currency and throw it into upheaval. Is there anybody else maybe we want to indict for similar issues?
I can think of a few. Her name is Sony. Sony has announced that is pulling online shooter Concord from sale just 2 weeks after its launch. The multiplayer title was released exclusively for PlayStation 5 and PC on August 23rd, but has reportedly struggled. That's an understatement to attract players. Anyone who bought the E40 game will receive a full refund. Have you ever heard of this ever happening? I'm sure.
No.
Like,
no, this is new
unheard of, right?
territory. This
Yes.
is
Okay.
like there's been a few games that get abandoned over the years. They call
Sure.
them abandonware.
But have you ever bought a game and got your money back because it was so bad?
So there was something like that with the Civ Beyond Earth had a very poor launch, and they right off the bat, like there was nobody could play it. They're like, I paid for it, I downloaded it, and I can't even play the damn thing. And
Fair. Okay.
those of you who didn't want to wait it out eventually got their money back. But by that time, it was so poorly received that they didn't even do an expansion. When was the last time Sid Meier did a game that didn't have an expansion? That tells you how bad it was. And so anyway, but this
Go back to this. Well, this one, according to websites, so you can see for people listening, it's a trend of how many people are playing this game at a time. And it says, according to website SteamDB, which tracks the number of people playing games on the PC platform, Concord's highest number of concurrent users was 660. Hooches agrees.
Yes. So the highest number of people playing this online first-person shooter ever in the entire history of the game was 660 people, which you can't even, like, what are you going to have just like everybody in there on one free-for-all? Like it that's like 3 maps worth of people. Thing about it was that it was all DEI stuff. It was trying to be as woke as possible. And like they specifically said at one point, racist bigotry won again. Are you happy? Are you satisfied? Does your day feel that little bit better knowing a great developer compromise of hardworking folks is going to likely be shut down over this? All because you can't whack off to ugly character designs and cry about woke games all the time? Get the memo. This game wasn't for you in the first place. Now a decent shooter with fresh ideas in a boring F2P market is going to die. Does that make you happy? You're what's wrong with this industry, and because of you, Sony might see this and think PC isn't worth investing their money in for future games. Hope you're satisfied. Okay, if the game isn't for you, why are you mad that you didn't buy it? If the game's for you, you should have bought it. If the game's not for you, they shouldn't have been expecting you to buy it. This thing was delayed by 8 years. It cost $150 million to make. And here's the thing about it is, with first-person shooters, do you remember you had in GoldenEye, you had Odd Job, and then there was the giant Jaws, right? Nobody ever played Jaws because he was way too big and he was too easy to hit.
Correct.
And it was nobody was allowed to play.
You're going back to the great days of
nobody whenever you were doing the 4-screen multiplayer, nobody was allowed to be Odd Job because he was so much smaller than the other ones and he was too hard to hit.
Yeah,
okay,
it was almost
here's the
impossible
thing.
to kill.
So if you're trying to make a woke first-person shooter, the last thing you want to have is some body positivity character that's going to be a giant fucking billboard for people to shoot at.
You're saying a high-calorie human being? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. You don't want to play as a high-calorie human being. You want to play as Celine Dion, who just got out of a fucking concentration camp. You want someone that's going to be impossible to hit. This is the exact opposite.
Nazis and the liberals of the week. A list of 900 alleged Nazi war criminals who fled to Canada could remain secret as federal officials come under increasing pressure to censor the records because they could prove embarrassing to this country. Some of the individuals and organizations consulted by Library and Archives Canada argued against releasing any of the information, warning it could be embarrassing or lead to prosecutions of alleged war criminals. Other stakeholders who advised the LAC worried the list could embarrass Canada's Ukrainian community or be used by Russians for propaganda purposes. The Library and Archives Canada had hoped to release information to the public between September 16th and September 20th, but how many names of alleged Nazi war criminals will actually be made public is not yet known.
We don't want to release the name of Holocaust, World War II war criminals, which I get the fact that there aren't really any good wars, but this was kind of a bad one as far as even for wars. And we don't want to release the names because it will lead to people being prosecuted for them. So that means there's still some fucking Nazis, still like actual Nazis, still alive in Canada.
Like the one they put in
standing
Parliament?
ovation. You know what? Instead of releasing the names, let's just send them all to Ottawa and we can all clap like idiot seals for them for a while. We don't want to release the names because it's going to be embarrassing for Canada. Well, you know what? As far as embarrassment over World War II goes, Canada sits pretty nice. Canada did a pretty good job in places like the Netherlands, in Normandy. And so for us to be like, okay, well, yeah, you know what? This kind of happened afterwards and it was a mistake and we're sorry. People be like, okay, well, you still came out ahead in the exchange. And in the meantime, that fucker that's still alive that killed a bunch of Jews, we're going to try him now. There's no downside to this.
Just go read Project Paperclip and realize that we're not alone in the fact that a bunch of Nazis fled Germany and went to different countries, and a country to the south of us brought a whole bunch of them in to work in their programs, right? And I mean, and once again, the U.S. isn't alone in that. Lots of countries around the world. Anytime you're trying to hide things from the public, it just, I can't,
Yep.
Worst PM of all time throwdown. Here you go. Here's the list. Here's the polls. Two's favorite polls. Who has been Canada's worst prime minister since 1968? Justin Trudeau at 38%, Harper at 14%, the other Trudeau at 7%, and then a whole bunch of others at varying percentages. Unsure is 21%. Okay.
Okay. Who do you think is the worst prime minister of all time?
You asking me?
Yes.
Justin Trudeau.
Wrong.
Okay.
You're super fucking wrong, Sean. In fact, you're so wrong that I made a slideshow about it. I knew you were going to say that. This is awesome. I was really hoping that this was going to go how I had wanted it to. So, why is Sean wrong? A PowerPoint presentation. Here's the thing, is you've got Pierre Trudeau's legacy of all of the bad shit he did, and Justin Trudeau's legacy, all the bad shit he did. This is a Venn diagram. This is page 1 of the Venn diagram. Now, here's the thing, is if Pierre Trudeau had never been prime minister, would Justin have been prime minister?
The answer is no.
Absolutely fucking not. A part-time snowboard instructor who's been fired from a few teaching jobs does not walk in to being prime minister. He's there because of the name brand recognition of his stepfather. So you can reasonably conclude that Pierre's legacy is the bad shit he did, and also inside that circle, every bad thing that Trudeau did. So, by the way, I've got this. I can't even see what I'm doing right now. Oh, shoot. Fuck. Okay. All right. So,
most people would walk through this and make sure they could get it right because
I did, but it flipped.
You know what's happening here? Twos is right. That's what his big punchline is. Except you can't. No,
there's several conclusions to draw here. It's plural, sure. Sean. But let's list them off. First off, twos is right. Twos 1. Quit arguing with twos. And the Oilers suck. Thank you. Twos is an idiot.
That's what I think. Twos is an idiot. All right. What do you got for me next? There.
Okay. The other thing I want to say is that Kim Campbell is the best prime minister we've ever had.
She was literally in office for was it a year?
63 days.
Yeah.
Best prime minister we've ever had.
All right then.
They all suck. They've all made things worse. She, by a wide margin, spent the least amount of time making things worse than everybody else. Even with Trudeau and all his fucking vacation days, he still did more work than Kim Campbell did.
Kevin, easy there. Well, let's just push a little back.
Why Sean is wrong is the hot new segment on the mashup. And we got laughing emojis, a PowerPoint of why Sean is wrong.
I'm glad everybody likes that. Everybody's enjoying that, are they? All right,
yeah.
fair enough. Government hates frogs. Government croaks. So, newly released documents reveal the government agency spent 4 years and $10,000 just to kill one bullfrog.
And
the whole love coming in for twos right now. You all need to stop, okay? This is going to inflate his head. And then you know who's going to have to deal with it? This guy.
Yeah.
Uncovered Thursday by the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, the documents outlined a costly initiative to eliminate invasive American bullfrog populations in Gulf Island National Park on the southern coast of British Columbia, which only managed to cull a total of one frog. Not quite exactly. The program managed to kill 100 of the frogs in 2023-2024 fiscal year at a cost of $5,000. In all, it cost Parks Canada $15,000 to croak 101 frogs.
Yeah. Now, these are these fucking things. So, granted, your ammunition costs are going to be high.
That's a big frog.
Because you're not going to be able to shoot that with a 22 or even a 30-30. You gotta go pretty high caliber with that fucker. It got introduced to try and have a frog leg market, and things went wrong. Kevin, not since Kermit signed with Disney has there been a frog so expensive. Well, you know what? We just talked about it 2 minutes ago. I would say Justin Trudeau is a slightly more expensive frog.
The buzzer was so loud. Whoops. Somebody somewhere is driving. What is that? Wiretaps are racist. The Ottawa police secretly wiretapped 5 of its Somali officers and their family members for months, never laid any charges, and refuses to tell them why, alleges a $2.5 million lawsuit filed by the officers.
So this whole story is a little bit fucky because, I mean, it gets presented as racism. But even within the article, CBC, of all fucking places, admits that the officers, some who have loose family connections to alleged criminals, and then they go into that later on, where they say gang-affiliated cousins. Okay, so you're bringing on a bunch of new cousins, and hiring frenzy, which is what was happening at the time, where they're specifically focusing on diversity applicants. So they're fast-tracking diversity applicants. And these guys get in, and then they're like, okay, well, they've got a bunch of relatives who are in organized crime. And so they put a 2-month wiretap on each one of them, and then, make sure things were on the up and up, and that was the end of it. But the other thing they talked about was all of this discrimination that they faced and how people told them that they were just there as diversity hires when they literally were hired as diversity hires, and that they got a lot of blowback from within the department because they're like, how did you even get in? Like, they're not even taking white people in right now, but they took you in. And so it's one of the dark flip sides of the coin with DEI hires is that when you hire people specifically to fill a quota, it's probably going to come up around the water cooler every once in a while. And there was this guy, a cop who got suspended a while back for making this meme that he sent around to his cop buddies. And it's got a picture of a whole bunch of people of color. And it says, Ottawa Police Service. We're always hiring anyone.
What a dumb thing. Am I like, when I saw that, I was like, what a dumb thing to do. Like,
well, it's obviously a very career limiting move. Although I will say in that guy's defense, about half of those people in that picture ended up going under investigations or were let go or were convicted of a bunch of weird shit. He managed to fill it with a few random people, and about half of them ended up being corrupt as fuck.
It's still a stupid thing to do. I don't care. I don't care who you are. Like, you could justify it all you want.
I'm not justifying it. I'm saying
you are justifying. Well, a bunch of them got. What do you call that? That is justifying it.
All right. What I am saying here is that when you have a whole bunch of DEI initiatives and all you care about is checking boxes, there's going to be some people who push back. Does it need to be like that? No. but you are going to get a lot of people, and you're going to face career hurdles for those people and a lot of other things where they're like, you're only here to check a fucking box. We're here to work. I've got a buddy who couldn't get hired on here, even though he's super qualified, because he's not black enough. And you're going to have issues with this.
You're not wrong. You're going to have issues. I will agree with that. But like, I don't know. I was reading the story, and it's not like they were all moved into the country, you know, because when I first looked at it, I'm like, oh, did they just move into the country in the first 6 months now they're cops? No. All these guys, by my eyes, and I could be pointed wrong on this, have been in the country for a long time.
Mhm.
And lots of them have been cops for longer than a couple of years. And so, you know, they investigated them because of ties, it looks like, to family members that
Which I
have.
respect. I would want to know, like,
Sure.
if-
So
if
then
you were
they're
a
not.
cop, if you
Yeah,
were
but
a
they're not
cop
giving them the
and-
information. They're saying, well, there's nothing to tell.
Well, but that's exactly it. It's like, all right, so you know what? Harl, unscrupulous, just absolutely cold-blooded killer, right? If you were a cop and your brother Harl, who's very well established criminal, you'd be like, all right, well, you know what? Fuck. We just realized that despite the fact that Newman's a common name, they actually are related. So let's just throw a wiretap on Sean for a couple months and make sure that everything's on the up and up. Okay, cool. Fair enough. Didn't find anything. Done. And that was it. But then they're like, well, why would you? It's because we're black that you did this. No, it's because your cousin's a fucking gun runner.
EV gong show of the week. Volkswagen announcement on Monday said that it is considering closing factories in Germany is unprecedented in the German automaker's 87-year history. To make matters even worse, for the 680,000 VW employees worldwide, the management also feels forced to end its job security program, which it put in place since 1994 and prevents job cuts until 2029. In a letter to employees on Monday, VW brand chief Thomas Schaefer described the situation as extremely tense and beyond the scope of simple cost-cutting measures. Also, BMW has recently announced a recall of its Mini Cooper SE 2020, a 2024 electric vehicle, due to concerns over potential battery defects.
Yes. And Volkswagen, by the way, had their vehicles are part of the zero emission EV rebate program with the Canadian government. Volvo is reversing their plans to sell only electric vehicles by 2030 as demand fails. And then CBC. Oh shoot, no, we got it listed as a separate one. We'll get to that. Anyway, the point is that the EV market's fallen apart about as quick as EVs.
Have you ridden in a hybrid though yet? Like the new ones, like the diesel EV, like it's Edison Motors.
Like,
you know, when I had Chase,
Edison, the guy that we had on the show to talk about it. No, I'm completely unfamiliar with it. Tell me more.
No, I'm not talking about it, like the idea he talked about, but I was just in a Ford that is. It's
a great idea. It's whenever you see a train running down those tracks, of which there are only 2 in this country. If you happen to be next to either one, it's electric over diesel. They've got these huge diesel engines that run electric generators, and the motors on those trains are electric.
Yes, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
you get it.
There's good solutions out there. It's just that we're not interested in bailing those out, probably because they don't need it.
Why Twos hates the CBC. Proponents believe the kid who rides e-buses show up calmer and more focused for school. U.S. data linked test scores to diesel fumes backs them up. But so far, only 2% of Canadian school buses offer students this advantage. E-school buses are cheaper to operate and can pay for themselves over the long run, but their initial price tag is double what diesel replacements cost. The short-term contracts...
Actually, it's a triple, but yeah.
I don't know. I'm reading what it says.
Okay, at another point, it said triple. A classic CBC.
You're right. I went back in the article and I raced double and I raced triple. I put double just to screw with Twos to see if he was reading this article.
There's a different part where it says triple, okay. But continue.
Oh, man.
This is why I hate the CBC.
Service across Canada don't always provide incentives for longer-term change without government subsidies. At the end of the day,
That's
it's school
exactly it.
buses,
So
electric school buses.
it's basically this whole article is the reason why we don't have more electric school buses is because the government isn't buying them for us. If you ever see like the handy buses driving around town or whatever else, they'll always say on the back, donated by such and such, donated by such and such. If you believe in electronic vehicles that strongly, there's nothing stopping you from buying one of those buses or getting together with a few of your friends and buying one of those buses, and you get to have your name on the back of it. Why does it always have to be the government bailing it out? Bedard and his team are motivated to deliver technology that helps kids, not to mention the planet they're increasingly anxious about inheriting. It's because of shit like this. And the whole time, this whole article is them saying there isn't enough funding. There isn't enough funding. Not can we make them better? Are they better? Are there better alternatives? Like, could Edison Motors make a fucking great bus that would solve these problems? I bet you they could. But none of that. It's the most one-sided bullshit pushing an agenda that you could ever imagine. And then also they were complaining about how the guy who owns the EV bus manufacturing place was forced to lay off over 700 people because he wasn't getting enough bailouts from the government.
As the kids say, put Chase on the case.
Yeah.
BC election update. I'm just going to bring up the tweet here. Okay. Here's MP Julian, MP for New Westminster Burnaby, NDP House Leader, NDP Health Critic. He says, extremist Freedom Convoy had as a goal the overthrow of the elected Democratic government. Some members received criminal convictions and have been charged with weapons violations and conspiring to murder police officers. Their extremism harmed families, seniors, PWD.
Persons with disabilities.
Shame on Roostad. This coming from new Freedom Convoy donor list includes the names of several candidates on John Roostad's BC Conservatives. If you didn't like the BC Conservatives at this point, I think this
is exactly it. And then you've got Press Progress, who is an absolute socialist mouthpiece. They're every bit as biased as we are, but without any facts to back them up. And then Peter Julian from the NDP, and they're talking about this. They're spreading awareness of this. They're helping the BC Conservative Party get elected. They're just not smart enough to realize it. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this before, but the NDP are not a serious party. Like, oh, these guys, can you believe? Did you know that these guys donated to the Freedom Convoy? Well, I'm already sold on the idea. You don't have to sell me anymore.
Influencers of note. How about we start with Miss Annie Lee? Is that where we should start?
Yeah.
So yeah, this is she's quoting and it's of course now I can't see the bloody thing. But Matthew Johnston had a tweet basically endorsing Justin Trudeau.
Matthew Johnston is consistently just putting out these bullshit nothing burger platitudes about how great Trudeau is. And it's kind of a weird thing. And it's a little bit baffling. And then continue.
Well, she points out that, as you can see on the screen, $90,000 September 1st, 2019 was a postdoctoral fellowship support the most promising Canadian new scholars in the social sciences and humanities and assist them in establishing a research base at an important time in their research careers. He got money from the government.
Oh, he got $90,000 from the Liberals.
Correct.
And he spends a lot of his time tweeting about how awesome they are. This is the one where she replied to. He says, I am a parent of 3 wonderful young children. They probably are assholes. And I want them to have the best start in life. I want my kids to hear a positive
I'm sure his children too are fine. You
government. Inbred fucks. I want my kids to know the real difference it makes when we work together.
We don't condone attacking children, you ass. Stick to the facts. Stick to the script. Stick to the tweet that the moron is making. Dear God.
Anyway, this is just a sample of how he does this all the time. And then Andy Lee realized, well, what if I just looked his name up and saw if he got any free government money? Oh, it turns out he got $90,000. So the next time you're like, well, why does this Matthew Johnston always want to talk about how great Trudeau is? It's because he bought him a new fucking pool.
And then the second one is Greg Wycliffe. He says CTV
Great
News
find.
used to tell the truth, and it was it was all about UNICEF. It's one of the headlines was "Meet Mr. Pooh, UNICEF's new mascot in anti-public defecation campaign." It was talking about India, and I think
it's trying to get this is the UNICEF put out this program in 2014 to try and get people to shit out in the streets and out in the open less frequently. And so they made this mascot, which was a big fucking turd, and it was going around telling kids how much poop stinks. And like, look closely at this picture. You have a mascot shit holding out a smaller shit to a bunch of East Indian looking animated children on a park bench, and they're holding their nose about how stinky it is. This is literally something UNICEF did a decade ago. But now it's apparently racist for people to point out that it's not a great idea. India is home to the world's largest population of people who defecate in the open. About half the country's population, 620 million people, don't regularly use toilets, the charity says, answering the call of nature wherever they are.
Steelworker versus pudding grifter.
Versus. The word you're looking for is versus.
Versus. Sure. Twos, show the video.
Okay. How did that end up in the middle? All right. Here is the video. Here's Justin Trudeau.
Over here if you want to thank you for your hard work.
I can bring some for my kids here.
Okay. The 25% tariffs we just brought in on Chinese steel is going to help you out.
That's going to keep my job, yeah.
That's going to
Yeah.
be your job.
What about
the $400 million
40% taxes I'm paying, and I don't have a doctor?
The $400 million in invest in the card
Yeah.
means you're going to have a
It's
job
awesome.
for
I think you're only here for
years
another
to come.
year. We won't see you around probably in another year.
Well,
I'm guessing.
that's what elections are for.
That's right. That's right.
And I look forward to everyone exercising the right to vote.
Yep.
Basic choice. We're going to invest in you and your job.
I don't believe you for a second.
Dental care. Do you know anyone who got dental care?
Yeah, I pay for it myself.
Okay.
We're like 3 years
You have
behind.
a job and coverage.
Yeah,
but we've
four
got
people in my
seniors.
family.
We've got
Every
seniors.
time we go for a dental visit,
Mhm.
it's costing me about $50 in my pocket per person.
Okay.
Why? I have a good job. You're not really doing anything for us, Justin.
Well, actually, we just invested so 500,000 people haven't been to the dentist.
Yeah.
Got to go to the dentist over the past few
Probably
months.
like my neighbor that doesn't go to work because she's lazy.
You know
Just
what?
doesn't go to work. She lives the same life
Most
I do.
Canadians try to stick up for each other. And that's what we're going to keep doing.
Yeah.
Good
yeah.
luck and take care of your family,
Oh,
sir.
no, I'm good. Thank you.
All right.
Have a nice day.
Have a good day, sir.
All right. So the best parts of that, granted, all of it's beautiful, but the
Dental
best
care?
parts
How about dental care?
were when he's like, well, you're only going to be here for another year. That was beauty. And then, yeah.
Is he an
And then when
undercover
Trudeau
plant?
tries, fuck no. No, but that didn't stop the conspiracy theorists.
Is he this guy? Twos?
No, look at the pictures. So for those of you playing along at home, you have a lot of very rabid, upset people. And here's the thing, you can always tell when something's over the target with the liberals. So if somebody who's conservative gets outed as being really atypical of the group, they get kicked out. It's like a body fighting an infection. $16 orange juice, you don't fucking work here anymore. But when it's a cult, the leader is always to be protected at any cost. And we will say as many crazy ass, batshit fucking loony things as possible. And so you have these online conspiracy theories, like the irate employee in the video refusing a donut from PMJT and trash talking to him is James Oakley, leader of Mobilized Media, storytellers who try to influence public opinion and rally change. Connect the dot, folks. He was a plant. So it turned out the steelworker getting snotty with Trudeau was not a steelworker at all, but actually a conservative staffer named Jeff Balling all. It was a photobomb stunt. I dealt with photobombing operatives when I worked for PPC. Even Jeremy McKenzie did it. I don't think so. That's but it's the same thing when we talked about the Apple sticker over top of the HP logo on the laptop. Everybody got super fucking mad about that because it's exactly what Justin Trudeau is, which is a fucking phony. And here he's saying like, oh, we're working for everybody. Everybody can relate to us. Oh, I'm going to go up and talk to this regular, average, everyday dude. And he has a lot of salient points to make about how Trudeau is full of shit. And that's why the left lost their minds. And the reaction to this, I would say, was even better than the video of it.
The Senate unravels. Okay, I got to scroll here. I got to find. Okay, here we go. Okay, so you had Charles Adler. What was that? A couple weeks ago now? I think it was a couple weeks ago. Yep. And here's Kirk Lubimoff saying, if appointing Charles Adler to the Senate wasn't appalling and disgraceful enough, today Justin Trudeau appointed 2 more independent senators from Alberta. This time, Daryl Frid-Handler, a Liberal Party supporter who has donated to them for decades, and Dr. Christopher Wells, an activist, and probably most people remember him from Pride Tape, right? Like, I think that's yeah. Like, if you saw, if you're like, I don't know that name, why would I know that name?
Hockey well, if you're an Oilers fan, you know all about
he's the Pride Tape. No. You just know the Pride Tape guy. That's all you know.
Yeah. And he was really prominent with the Oilers. And he put you guys on the map as far as the gay pride stuff. Remember, they talked about the Pride Tunnel, which is, another word for butt. And the gay pride hockey tape, which ends up with black streaks on it, just like the crosswalks. And this was this guy's brainchild. That was what he did.
I want to bring up Marty Up North's tweet too. Oops, there it is. I don't know if I knew this or didn't know this, but I thought this was important to just bring up. Marty Up North put out, Alberta has a process whereby we elect our own Senate nominees. We're the only Canadian province to hold elections for nominees to be appointed to the Senate of Canada. We've been doing it since the end of the 1980s. We understand these elections are non-binding, as the appointment of senators is solely the responsibility of Governor General of Canada and on the advice of the Prime Minister. So if I understand that correctly, we do election for this.
So
and then in hopes,
we would say, if you're going to name a senator, please pick this guy.
Yeah, pick the ones that we've got there, which there's 3 sitting there off of Marty's tweet, right? Mm-hmm. Right there. 1, 2, 3, and
they're guaranteed not going to get the nod. Instead, you've got guys like this independent senator, not the gay pride one, but the other one, who in his history was so if he forgot to take down all of his info off of his law firm after he got nominated as a senator. You guys, if you're going to get nominated as a senator by the Liberals, you got to do a media sweep. You got to clean this stupid shit off.
Don't give him any hints, twos.
Okay. So this is from the guy's own website, that he was vice chair of revenue for the Liberal Party of Canada and national chairman of the Laurier Club 2004 to 2006 and Alberta Revenue Chair 2010 to 13. Alberta Leadership Campaign co-chair for Paul Martin and Michael Ignatieff in 2003, 2006, 2008.
Yes, you can keep going. All you're pointing out is that there's evidence, like on both the, like they're not independent.
There's about clear. 7 points there.
I know.
And
it's very clear.
Over the course of them, he's donated about $80,000 to the Liberal Party, provincially and federally.
That's all people need to know. Our Senate is getting,
I think it's fucking smart. It's 3D chess. Honestly, there's like, so Trudeau gets in power 10 years ago. And you say, well, you know what? This Senate gig, it's nice. I'd love to get it, but I'm just a regular Albertan. What can I do? Well, you donate a shit ton of money to the Liberals and you do the gayest shit you could possibly think of. And you're the only one in the province that does any of it. You're guaranteed to get the Senate appointment. And the other thing about this is that they announced this over the long weekend, over the Labor Day long weekend. Just to quietly put it out there, to not have a big fuss and miss the news cycle. Do you have any idea how hard it is for a politician to go, that far out of their way that they're doing work on a stat holiday weekend? We can't even get Trudeau to show up half the fucking time during the work week, and he does this on the long weekend. That's how bad they knew it was.
Trudeau's happy accident. Happy accident. Okay. I actually don't. What are you talking about here? Are you talking?
We're talking about
EVs?
canola.
Okay. Fair enough. As Canada's canola farmers brace for potential impact from China's new anti-dumping investigation into Canadian canola imports, a new report from an international credit rating agency suggests the move could lead to $1 billion hit for the country and its supply chain. The announcement of the investigation Tuesday came after Ottawa moved to impose tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles, following the lead of both the U.S. and the European Union. That 100% tariff was put on Chinese EV imports, along with a 25% tariff on imported steel and aluminum from China. In 2023, the report notes Canada exported close to $5 billion worth of canola products to China, citing Chinese customs data showing that more than 90% of the country's canola product imports last year were from Canada.
Okay. Interesting things to note. First off, Chinese manufacturing sucks. There's no way I'm remotely interested in getting into a vehicle made in fucking China and driving 110 kilometers down the fucking highway in it. That's a death wish waiting to happen. So you don't even really need to worry about putting extra tariffs on Chinese vehicles. Their reputation speaks for themselves. Remember the toonies we talked about half an hour ago? Same fucking thing, but at a high speed. Okay. Second thing, so Trudeau puts out 100% tariff on Chinese EVs because he needs to protect all of the jobs that he has subsidized the shit out of in Ontario. And then, unfortunate, unforeseen circumstances, China responds by putting a giant tariff on canola oil or canola exports. So now, not only does Trudeau, in an effort to protect jobs in Ontario, he's also managed to screw over the farmers in Western Canada. This is a perfect like just happy accident. Happy accident. He is probably over the moon about how wonderfully this worked out and how he wished he could have planned it.
So vindication. If you've been waiting for another article, here we go. Okay, here is Yak Stack. He says, actually, he's quoting, by January 11th, 2021, the Edmonton Police Service had briefing notes warning them to stagger vaccinations as to not completely wipe out entire squads specific to the second dose, where there was a higher likelihood of side effects following the jabs for 24 hours. As you can see down in
higher
red.
likelihood of side effects. I mean, we got told that didn't happen, but fair enough. I mean, it almost seems as though, as all these documents are being released, we were right all along.
I mean, that's why we got co-vindication, right?
Yeah.
Goofy News, the working title. We're still looking for submissions on Goofy News. What you would
text them, DMs, comments, whatever you got
all of them
for the Goofy News. Here
you go. Here's two for this week. Delta flight from Boston to Rome diverted after diarrhea disaster. And 4 years ago, a Valley man started giving out free water. Now he's facing hundreds of dollars in fines from his HOA, so his housing association. He literally had a cooler with bottles of water, and anyone could come grab one, and he's now facing a fine for doing that act of kindness.
Yep. No good deed goes unpunished. For both articles, I guess.
Actual Russian interference.
This is weird.
Right? Okay. So where do you want to start? Like, how do you, like,
okay.
I could.
All right. So apparently some Russian company created this fake person who was donating to Tenet Media, which works with a bunch of the prominent conservative voices and gives them funding and works with them. And it turns out that person,
we're talking about the U.S. here. So we're talking,
mostly U.S. Laura Southern as well,
Sure,
right?
Sure. So Dave Rubin is one that's commented on it. Tim Pool's another that's commented on it. I mean, everybody's commented on it now. But it's just so people have a clear idea of who we're talking about.
Yeah. So this sounds like the Mueller report from 8 years ago, where there was just a whole bunch of stuff about Trump and collusion and working with Russia that ended up being absolute bullshit. It sounds like they're doing the same thing, but trying to discredit the people who are speaking truth to the powers in the States. The interesting thing about it, though, is that, I mean, this is all very early, right? But it seems as though there's at least a hint of truth to it, because Dave Rubin says these allegations clearly show that I and other commentators were victims of this scheme. I knew absolutely nothing about any of this fraudulent activity, period. People of the Internet was a silly show covering viral videos which ended 4 months ago. I don't know what that's about. The DOJ has never contacted me regarding this matter, and I have no intention to comment further. That's not really the kind of thing you say when it's like, oh, this is just a smear.
Well, there was money. Well, there was money. The way I read the report, and I'm reading this, and I was trying to find more information on it. And the way I read it, and I could be wrong, is that a fictional person
was
giving money to a media company, and that media company was funding people. And what Tim Pool basically said, here, I'll read his statement. His statement regarding allegations and the DOJ indictment. Should these allegations prove true, I, as well as the other personalities and commentators, were deceived and are victims. I cannot speak for anyone else at the company as to what they do or to what they are instructed. The Culture War podcast was licensed by Tenet Media. It existed well before any license agreement with Tenet, and it will continue to exist after any such agreement expires. The only change with agreement was that the location of the live broadcast moved to Tenet's YouTube channel. I and TCW never produced any content for Tenet Media. Never at any point did any other than I have full editorial control of the show, and the contents of the show are often apolitical. Examples including discussing spirituality, dating, and video games. The show is produced in its entirety by our local team without input from anyone external to the company. TCW is a separate company not associated with the Timcast and other properties. It exists solely for the production of the Culture War podcast. That being said, we still do not know what is true, or as these are only allegations. Putin is a scumbag, Russia sucks, donkey balls, and to the journalists who wish to jump the gun, create their own narrative, or lie about what is currently going on, you can eat my Irish ass. That's Tim Pool. So you get the, like, I guess what we're pointing out, what it looks like is there was funding to their shows. And what they're pointing out is they had no idea. They're popular shows, so money coming in isn't that strange.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're trying to say is it never changed the theme or the aim of what their podcast was before or after the funding came in. Am I wrong on that, too?
That's basically it. Now, maybe there's truth to it. Maybe it's all Mueller report all over again. But it's interesting, and it's something to keep watching as it unfolds, I think.
Yes. Jeeps really can go anywhere. You're going to pull up this video, right? Or should I pull this video up? We don't even need...
no, I don't think there's any reason to watch this video. This video is absolutely goddamn insane, Sean.
Okay, so 24-year...
Keep talking.
24-year-old Ramon Preet Singh from Brampton is facing half a dozen charges after driver attempted to drive over police cruisers in Mississauga.
Yeah, he literally tries to go full fucking Batmobile with this Jeep. He's in the drive-thru of Tim Hortons, which, I mean, Chuck, Jamie, they'd be the first ones to tell you that you got to be able to plan an escape and that you should be leery of things like this that you can get boxed in at. And so, yeah, he tries to just go right over top, almost gets it, just can't quite stick the landing, and then he gets hung up on the top of two cop cars and then tries backing up, and then he gets totally squirreled on the hood of one, and then another cop car comes in the back and boxes him off. And you can actually see in a different, somebody had a picture of it from another angle, and there was a car behind it that the hood was all smashed up. So presumably before this video started, he had tried to back up out of there. So yeah,
it's wild.
yeah, this is a guy just trying to go full Batmobile over a bunch of cop cars, and almost makes it. Like if he had, could you imagine the conversation at Jeep the next day? Be like, look, can we talk about this? Can we just make sure that we don't want to use this as marketing material? Like, buy a Jeep, you can go anywhere, and then just have this CC camera footage of this Jeep driving over a bunch of cop cars and making a getaway. Be like, only use it for legal stuff, but realize also that it's capable of doing more.
Trudeau no longer gay enough. LGBTQ2 SLIA activists say Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's pledge to remain the Liberal leader through the next election, despite dwindling public support, is putting them at risk. Queer advocates say a Conservative government led by Pierre Poilievre would be dangerous for the LGBTQ2 SLIA plus communities, and some are calling on Trudeau to step aside to give the Liberals a better chance at winning the next election.
Yeah, she points to Poilievre's comments saying that minors should not have access to puberty blockers, which stop calling them puberty blockers. They're sterilization medication. And transgender athletes should be barred from women's sports and changing rooms. What a controversial opinion. Regular ass gay people don't want to go into women's change rooms. You know who does? Sexual predators. That's it. And so anyway, they want Trudeau to step down because if Poilievre leaves, they're not.
You don't need to explain it. You don't need to explain it. I mean,
he's not gay enough for them anymore.
It's pretty self-explanatory. The NDP are not a serious party.
I'm looking forward to this bit.
Jagmeet's tweet. I think everybody saw it. The deal is done. The Liberals are too weak, too selfish, too beholden to the corporate interests to stop the Conservatives and their plans to cut. But the NDP can win. Well, actually, it doesn't say that. But anyways,
yeah. You get now. Just look at this. This is his post saying that he's backing out of the supply and bullshit agreement he had with the Liberals, supply and confidence. 5.5 thousand likes, 8,000 comments. He got ratioed on his announcement that he's no longer supporting the Liberals. And he got absolutely eviscerated. I don't even know if I should show any of this, but he's dumb enough to go and talk to Vasi Kapelos, who has been consistently lately the voice of reason in mainstream media.
Yes.
He's doing a very good job of pointing out politicians' inconsistencies. And so this is a 4.5 minute video. Go check it out. He gets fucking just scorched earth. She does a great job of pointing out the fact that he's a hypocritical piece of shit and giving him an opportunity to answer every point along the way, which he fails to do. And then here's a picture. Get in, loser. We're going nowhere. Jagmeet Singh behind the wheel. And then I think that's Matthew Green beside him. It's great. It's wonderful. It's got all of them on their heels. You know the thing that really bugs me about it, though? I had an epiphany. None of these pundits are talking about what this means for Canadians. How is it going to affect the people that he's paid to represent? The people in Richmond Hill, BC. You know, at what point does this become a good thing for your constituents? All of these talking heads, and I'm guilty of this too, generally, but all these talking heads are just talking about it like it's moves on a chessboard, and they're forgetting the fact that their job isn't to make the right moves on a chessboard. It's to do their best to represent the interests of the people they're paid to represent.
I hear you. I I think the sentiment when he first released the video by a lot of people was, "Oh, we're going to have an election." But the more I listen to Vasi,
all
the
he
more
did
I
was just back out of
but
saying,
he,
you're
but that's
right
what
no matter
that's
what.
why you got to go listen to Vasi talk to him, because He's saying, we'll pick and choose if we're going to support the Liberals, which means
It
we're not
means
having.
they're fucking broke and they can't afford it. And also, if he does call an early election, Justin Trudeau is going to freeze his fucking bank account and a bunch of horses are going to stomp on him.
Happy news. Do we have any happy news this week?
Yeah, we do.
Is this one of them?
Can't find it. Oh, here it is. No, that's for the community events.
Oh, well.
Brad Paisley expands mission to fight hunger with second free grocery store. Country music star Brad Paisley and his wife Kimberly have announced the exciting launch of a second location for their nonprofit, The Store, a free grocery store designed to support local food insecure families. So everybody talking about how, like, you know what, the government needs to do this. The government needs to solve this. If it's a cause you believe in, you can do shit like this. There's nothing stopping you from saying, this is something that I support and take personally seriously, and I want to try and make a difference. And so there's Brad Paisley and his wife in a couple fucking suits in front of the store they just opened, and good for them.
That is pretty cool. I'd love to know more about that, honestly. That,
why don't you have
they pull that off?
Just be like, hey, Brad, Paul Brandt got me in touch with you, and
believe me, I've been trying to get John Rich on the show for like 3 weeks now, 4 weeks since he went on Tucker Carlson.
Since he went on Tucker Carlson. How about like a year ago when I told you should have John Rich on the show? Jesus,
you know what's funny? Every time I bring up something, I told you to do something. Okay, Toos. Okay, buddy. Okay.
I'm really looking forward to the interview with Vesper. That's going to be good. That guy is very well spoken.
Monday that comes out. Okay.
So there. And then we got, sorry, I clicked on the wrong button. I'm not super sorry, but I'm a little bit sorry.
Guy out of here.
All right.
Community notes. All right.
Now you can go to that tweet.
Here's one. All right. True North event in Calgary, October 26th. Yeah, this is what Harrison Faulkner was saying yesterday on the podcast. So it sounds like their keynote speaker is going to be Danielle Smith. And there you go. There's the details. Tickets at truenorthevents.ca.
Yeah. And then what was the other one we had in there?
Oh, you stuck in there Rosemary Barton.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's really good. So this could almost be the happy news. Rosemary Barton of the CBC at issue coming back tomorrow, or was coming back tomorrow. It is now coming back tonight. Poor CBC can't seem to get their poop in a group. And tomorrow, arm strength emoji at CBC The National. So for those of you waiting with bated breath, Rosemary Barton and her regular TV show are coming back online after a summer break. So make sure you go in and check it out. And then we had in the comments the thing in Carnduff. Apparently it was something called like the Fall Brawl, I guess, instead. But the event in Carnduff, September 7th.
We have Saturday, October 19th, BC election live coverage. Election coverage that doesn't suck. Sorry, brought to you by the Mashup. We have Monday, October 28th. That's going to be the Saskatchewan election. We got Tuesday, November 5th, the U.S. election. And whenever the Canadian election happens, folks, we are going to be covering that sucker. We're going to have a lot of fun with a lot of interesting people across Canada. That one will be a ton of fun to do. And then
if you're in BC and you think like you would want to get the word out for your company or something like that, we are taking sponsors. And if you're in Saskatchewan, same thing. And if you're in some other place, we'd probably be glad to have you too.
And then Shine Christian Academy has a What in the World conference coming up here. If you have been wondering what in the world is going on in regards to such topics as climate change, land use, 15-minute cities, technology, education, any of your tinfoil hat fantasies.
The land use thing is an interesting conversation. Where
it is. You can contact Dawn for tickets at 780-305-1082 or email tickets.sca@gmail.com. I hope I said that right. I think I got that right. Yes, I did.
It's Gmail. Yeah. Gmail is the thing.
123, folks. 123. We came in flying, I think, maybe. Daddy's home, I guess. Hey?
Yeah,
and that's what I took from this one.
And thanks to our sponsor, And again, if you're interested or if you know somebody who might be interested.
Yeah. I think, you know, put on your thinking caps, folks. Let's see if we can't knock this one out of the park for her. Because,
Yeah.
you know, you're wonderful people that know a bunch of more wonderful people. And we'd like you to find a CPA.
And if it's because of this that she finds a CPA, I'm pretty sure I can guilt trip her into being my accountant. So help me out too, guys.
Twos. I guess until next week, good sir.
All right.
Folks,
thanks a lot, buddy.
Thanks for
Thanks
tuning
a lot,
in.
everybody, for tuning in.
Yeah.
It's been a
And
lot
we'll catch
of fun.
up to you. We'll catch up to you next week.